There are a few tricks you can do to get your plant to grow much faster. We'll talk about propping, supporting and much more in a bit, but first, you see this space here? This is a massive wasted opportunity. For a super bushy plant, we want all spaces in the pot to be filled with stems.
Now this will only really work for vining type plants that are naturally bushy like Pothos, Tradescantia or Philodendron, and it's a trick I'm always doing.
There are a couple of options for filling this dead space. The first is pretty nifty, and all you need is a couple of bobby pins or something similar and to grab a long stem of the plant. What we do is lie the stem on the soil, making sure each of the leaf nodes is making good contact with the soil underneath, and then pin the stems in place. The theory here is similar to air layering if you're familiar with that. Each of the nodes on the stem are making contact with soil, which encourages roots to sprout and after that potentially new stems to grow. I say potentially because whether a new stem grows does depend on the plant. A Tradescantia will sprout new stems left, right and centre for example. For a Pothos though, to make sure this happens, just simply cut the stem once it is rooted into the soil. You've then basically got mini plants in the pot that will have no choice but to grow a new stem. It's a simple and effective way of multiplying the number of stems in the pot and filling in all the gaps. You do want to make sure the stem is getting a fairly good amount of light, otherwise the leaves will just die off. So keep that in mind if you're about to pin a stem in the middle of an already bushy plant, like this monster. Oh, and by the way, leaves dying off, browning or yellowing is one of the symptoms I cover in my free Plant Problems Troubleshooting Handbook that you can nab for free by following the link in the description.
It's got all your least favourite naughties and why they happen and most importantly, what to do about it. So it's well worth having on your phone for when something untoward comes up. Check it out now. An alternative way to get more stems on the go is taking cuttings, but don't panic, it's not too stressful.
Instead of pinning, we take a cutting of a nice long piece, chop it down into single stem cuttings and propagate it into a medium of your choice. A glass of water will do a grand enough job, or you can get fancy and set up a perlite prop box.
Roots will probably take about 4 to 5 weeks to develop, plant dependent of course, and once they're a few inches long, pop them back in with the mother plant.
If the cuttings are taking longer, then chances are they aren't getting enough light. A Sansi grow light will be a good bet to move them along if your house is light deprived.
The slight problem with taking this route is finding a way of planting the cuttings back in with the mother plant without creating a lot of upheaval. With the pinning method, the roots are already there.
Now the side effect of planting all these cuttings back in with the mother plant is root spaghetti.
It'll be a right little root party in there, so you'll have to keep a beady eye on if it needs repotting more often. Not a problem of course if you're the nurturing type that I think you are.
Now, you might have heard that some plants are great low light plants. Snake plants, ZZ plants, Pothos, even Monstera. They're all indestructible, even if you keep them in the cupboard, right?
Unfortunately, this is a lie. Well, let's be kind though and say it's a fib. The truth is, no plant wants to be kept in a dungeon. Have you kept your plant in a dark corner and watched it slowly die? That wasn't a coincidence.
Just because a plant is labelled as low light tolerant does not mean it will be happy and thriving. Even a snake plant. It just means it will grin and bear it. No one is tolerating something and living their best life. So basically, all plants love light. Well, all plants that I can think of anyway. They need it to survive after all that photosynthesizing malarkey they revel in. So grab that jade that is living in the closet and move her nearer to the window. The rewards will be plentiful. Just look at this mixed Pothos planter for example. He's got limbs coming out in all directions ready to take over my conservatory, and it's all because he's got this super bright spot to call home that faces southwest. This guy on the other hand is growing at a snail's pace, all because he can't see the sky, bless him.
If you have no idea what bright, medium or low light is, then the rule of thumb that I love to go by is to see how much of the sky the plant can see.
This fella can't see much because, well, look where he lives. No chance. This bird of paradise on the other hand gets a glorious view of the blue stuff and is as happy as Larry. You're probably screaming, just move him Mr. Sheffield, and I would, but I'm fast running out of space for all my plants, so some have to suffer a bit until I can figure something out. So why am I bleating on about views of skies and whatnot?
It's because indoor plants suffer greatly when compared to their outdoor brethren, and it's all to do with the ceiling and walls that block off their view of the sky. Add a tree or two and the struggle is even more real.
Compare even the brightest indoor room to the great outdoors and honestly there's no comparison. It's why sending your little guys for a summer holiday in the garden or balcony can do wonders for them. You might be thinking that light is great and all that, but what do we do about sunlight hitting the leaves? Plants should be kept out of direct sunlight at all costs, right? It's their kryptonite. Well, no actually.
I will caveat this by saying it does depend on your climate, but here in good old Blighty, most of my plants love soaking up the vitamin D.
This guy, this gal, all these, they all love it.
The truth is, I've been experimenting with this for years, and there aren't many plants that can't acclimatise to the sun.
Spider plants and calophyas are probably the main ones I'd avoid. Monsteras, ficus, philodendron, pothos, have at it. So why bother? Well, the more light you have to give, the bigger the plant will become and the quicker he will do it.
Don't take this as chuck your pothos on a south-facing windowsill and be done with it though. You'll need to experiment because it does depend on your climate. Try a couple of hours a day for a week or two and see how she gets on.
There are no hard and fast rules when it comes to plant care, and believe me, I wish there was. And these two plants will illustrate this perfectly. For this fella, I'm in the habit of rotating every week so that all sides get to see the sky. But this lass, I most certainly don't. I'll leave her be. The reason is simple. I don't want Moni the Monstera to do the twist and shout. I've got her climbing this rather ugly looking moss bowl, and if I was to rotate her, she wouldn't stick to the path that I've set for her. She'd be doing something more akin to this. Climbing around the back like some sort of misfit, and that's really not what we want at all. But for bushy suckers like this, rotate till your heart's content. Doesn't matter if the stems grow any which way, but leave climbers be. It does mean that I only get to enjoy some of these plants' backside with the leaves hidden from view, but that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make to get the best plant. To get around this, I could place her against the wall like I did Moni, but like I said, space is in short supply.
All of this brings me neatly onto one of the ultimate growth hacks that you've probably seen all over the internet. Something that I've been trying myself for a couple of years now.
It's all to do with ugly moss bowls. A plant climbing an ugly moss bowl will grow big and strong and have big muscular limbs. And there are two reasons for this.
One, they prefer to grow vertically. It's how they grow in the wild after all, latching on to surrounding trees to climb up higher to get a decent view of the sky.
And second, once they start climbing up something moist and soft, they latch their arrowroots in to use as climbing anchors. These become secondary points for the plant to access water and nutrients. This strengthens the plant and the leaves start to really size up. So if you can bear the ugly plastic pole, then this is a great little hack.
But be warned, only use a moss pole if you think you've got a dedication to keep it going. They're quite a lot of faff, truth be told.
They need constant training to stop them veering off course, regular watering to stop them drying out, and then you need to chop and extend every couple of months, which is a big job in itself. The rewards are spectacular, but the work you need to put in is no joke.
You might be sat on your sofa thinking, why the bejesus hasn't he mentioned fertiliser yet? And to be honest, fertiliser isn't the biggest factor when it comes to fast growth.
Sure, fertiliser is great and you should be giving yours his Weetabix on a regular basis, but it won't make him grow quicker. Nutrients help a plant stay fit and healthy, but light is the biggest factor when it comes to speed of growth. Photosynthesis really is the key.
And you don't have to overthink the fertiliser you use. Just pick one that is suitable for indoor plants and it will do a grand enough job.
I use Houseplant Focus and my plants don't seem to mind it at all. And to keep things as simple as possible for my tiny little brain, I used the little and often approach. I add a diluted dose to every single watering can I fill. There's no need to remember what I did when.
Maximising plant growth is as much about not doing anything to hinder the plant than it is to use funky hacks.
And keeping your little guy in a swamp really will do it little favours and you won't be 3xing its growth anytime soon. It's dead easy to fall into the trap of watering every Saturday morning without checking the soil, but unfortunately this is only going to lead to plant purgatory. I'll admit that I sometimes fall into this trap too. I ended up giving this chap stinky toes from sitting in too much water by not checking the soil first. Luckily, I called it in time before too much damage was caused, and I vowed to always check before watering like a true SMP disciple. Now this is all made so much easier when you use the right soil that drains freely. I use coconut coir as my base and add perlite for drainage with some charcoal to combat the nasty smells, and that's pretty much my base mix. I then amend with something like orchid bark to make it nice and chunky for a monstera, for example.
We tend to look at the plant's foliage when deciding whether it's in tip-top condition or not, but the truth is, most of the gritty action actually takes place below the surface.
A root-bound fella with dead or tired roots really won't be living his best life, so it's a good idea to have a peek every year or so. If anything is looking black or severely tied up, then give him a new roomier home. But then this does present a conundrum that I see perplexing lots of beginners. What pot size should I repot into?
Well, in this video, I explain why gardening taught me that going small isn't necessarily the best thing, so check it out next.